I'm literally shaking right now because I just had a man approach me in a parking lot and it went fine. And I'm going to tell you why it went fine and how to address it, because it was in a book I read and this is how you're supposed to address it, but it scared me.
Let's hear this.
I'm literally shaking. So this guy, I am alone with my son, by myself, a woman, and a male approached me in a parking lot. He's, "Excuse me, miss," and I don't know why in the hell he was approaching me or what he was trying to do. And before he was probably 30 feet from me when he said, "Excuse me, ma'am." And I turned around and I literally yelled at him and I said, "Do not approach me."
Pause. I want y'all to just keep those things in mind as you continue to listen to her. She said that there was probably 30 feet between the two of them, which is, if you put that in perspective, is a significant distance. And she also stated that she wasn't sure of what it was that he wanted. Mind you, he said, "Excuse me, miss." Let's continue.
And he immediately started going in the other direction. And I just kept saying it over and over and over. I said, "Do not approach me. Do not approach me." And he, of course, got "What the F?" He started cussing and yelling, what's your problem? And I looked at him and he actually then crossed a couple cars down from my car. He didn't come anywhere near me. He crossed a couple cars down from my car and was like, I'm continuing to cuss and say, "What's your problem?" And I said, "You do not approach women in a parking lot." I just kept saying, "Do not approach me. You do not approach women in a parking lot," yelling it. No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot. Ever. No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot. And if a male does approach you, you need to turn around and use the strongest voice that you can possibly use with them. Don't be polite. They need to literally screw off. No male should be approaching you in a parking lot.
So she calls herself trying to teach women something right now. She's trying, hey, no man should ever approach you in the parking lot. They should all literally screw off. If he approaches you, you need to turn at him and yell at him, "Do not approach me." He was right to look at her and think, what in the world is wrong with you? Obviously, when it comes to social cues, hers are almost non-existent. It was almost blatantly clear from the beginning that this man was of no threat to her. Even in the way that he approached her, he made sure that he gave her distance. He said, "Excuse me, miss." And then even when she turned around to address him, even in the angry manner that she did, he immediately changed the direction that he was going and started to walk away from her. Ask her what was her problem. Every last one of us can sit here and think of 100 or more things that this man could have asked this woman or said to this woman. He could have been asking her for directions. He could have been letting her know that, hey, look, your son is hanging off the cart. He might fall over and hurt himself. There's so many things that could have came out this man's mouth that was of no threat to this woman whatsoever. This is not over yet. It gets better.
My husband took my son grocery shopping. You know where this is going, right? Guess how many people came up to him in the grocery store and were just oohing and awing over the baby and telling him what a great job he was doing. Guess how many people come up to me when I'm grocery shopping with him?
The contradiction. This woman just sat here and said, "Oh, all these people be coming up to my husband when he's in the store walking around with our son shopping. You know how many people come up to me? Zero." She's upset that nobody come up to her when she just made it blatantly clear that she didn't want anybody to approach her. You can't pick and choose which one you want. Do you want people to come up to you or do you not want people to come up to you? Which one is it? Your husband doesn't seem to have a problem with it, but you're unsatisfied either way it goes.
Isn't Andrew Tate 5'8"?
Oh shit.
No, he's 6'3".
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, that's
What the
he
fuck?
gives such
Oh
short
my
man
God,
energy that
dude.
I thought he was under 6
Wait,
feet
whoa,
tall.
hold on. What did you just say? It's short man energy. What does that mean? Are you
it was
hating on
kinda
short
mean.
men?
Yeah, it was kind of mean. It was a derogatory stance, I guess you could say.
You know what? I'll let it slide as long as you're okay with fat girl energy. Are you okay with fat girl energy?
I've done my due diligence in dating a man shorter than me, so I feel like I could say that. That's it.
If short guy energy is okay, then fat girl energy has to be okay too.
And he couldn't be more correct. Fellas, that need to be a term that we start adopting, right? Fat girl energy. Oh, she's giving fat girl energy. Whenever you see a chick eating a bag of chips, that's fat girl energy. Nah, that's a little bit too extreme. But still, see, us men, we're not going to stoop down to that level. We could. We really could if we wanted to. For every time a female want to be like, oh, he's giving short guy energy or small peen energy. Oh, we can give loose peen energy and fat girl energy. Like, we could do it too. But just like y'all comments are unnecessary, it'll be unnecessary for us to do it as well. So, hey, ladies, have your fun and continue to look like an idiot while you're doing it.
I think OnlyFans empowers you. Is it empowering for you, Miss Saudi Arabia?
It's very empowering.
Okay. Why is it empowering?
I am very proud of myself.
Okay. Women don't want consequences for poor decisions. If you sexualize yourself as a woman, 9 out of 10 times, every man you deal with is going to sexualize you as well in reciprocation. A man cannot objectify you unless you objectify yourself first. Well, you can be sexually free, but don't sit there and expect people to respect you. They're not going to.
Shorty's crying?
Probably.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, that's sexual empowerment for you.
Yep.
When you can't speak about what you do openly and you feel a certain way, it goes back to the biology, man. Women know deep down that, this is not acceptable for me to be doing this shit. Like, they know it deep down. That's why there's a reason why when a guy asks a girl, what's your body count, whatever, they hesitate. They don't want to say it. There's a reason why when girls say, I do OnlyFans or whatever it may be, they're kind of hesitant to say it. Right? Some girls might say it out loud, but deep down, if you meet a man of your dreams, you ain't going to tell him that shit.
You see how she went from feeling empowered to feeling embarrassed? She knows what he was saying to be true. I once dated a female from Saudi Arabia myself, and she would tell me, this was 10 years ago, she would tell me that if her people, if her family back home knew what she was up to in the States in regards to how she was moving about with men, that they will completely disown her. So she would live her life carefree in the States, but when it was time for her to go back home to her country, she had to button up. It was no more of that playtime because they were not going to have it over there.
So women rate 80% of men online as below average in attractiveness, whereas men rate 50% of women as below average in attractiveness. And so what that means is that the attention of women in an open mating market is focused on a very small percentage of men. And what's happening in colleges and universities where women dominate in terms of proportion of population is that all the women are chasing a very small number of men. So most of the men have no partners at all, and some of the men have more partners than they know what to do with. And so those men pursue short-term mating strategies, which is not so good for the women because they just as soon have an actual relationship. But then you might ask, well, what does it do to the men? And that's easy, is that it trains them to adopt antisocial short-term mating strategies. And that's really bad practice, because if you practice exploiting people for your momentary gratification, then you'll become an expert at that.
You heard what Jordan Peterson said. He explained what goes on in colleges in regards to female selection, which happens outside of school, as we all know. And then he also mentioned that what you practice becomes your profession. So if you're doing those things over and over again, then that's what you get good at, because that's what you know. So just like with those small percent of guys that are acquiring the majority of women, they're going to want to continue to do that throughout life until they can't do it anymore or till they get sick of doing it. And then what happens with these females? You see what happens with these females. They get to a point where they feel like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. So now let me go ahead and settle down. But guys are smart and wise enough to know that it's a strong possibility that if I decide to choose you now, lock you down, make you my wife, who's to say, because you've already developed this skill, who's to say that you won't go back out there into the streets and do it all over again? That right there is a risk that a lot of men aren't willing to take.
So do you think that women like men more when they're like rude to them, or simps?
I just turned 30. I think in this society and generation, they're confused because now they push away the that actually is a gentleman to them, that does like them. And if you're too nice, y'all like cats. Like me when I want you to like me. Don't touch my belly unless I tell you to touch it, or I'm gonna call it. I think now it's ass backwards. Like, if you're too nice to women, for me. But if you're a dude that got money, but you're a and everything else, y'all ready to get up in that Lambo immediately. But then you start weighing out options to yourself. But what am I worth? The perks to this guy, or him actually treating me like shit? This nigga just told you I just your best friend, you ain't gonna do shit about it, blah, 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 but you're still gonna hit his line. When you turn around and chase after the motherfucker that's an ass, who's simping now?
Yo, shout out to this brother here. Remember the Saudi girl that I told y'all about that I dated 10 years ago? I had this conversation with her. I was like, if a dude pulled up to my car, back then I was driving a 2003 Hyundai Elantra, piece of crap of a car. I paid like $1,700 for that car. I was like, if a dude pulled up next to my car right now with the Lamborghini and he said, hey, ditch that loser, come hop in here with me, would you do that? Would you hop in the car with him? Her answer was yes. I was like, what? I'm like, what if he's a jerk? What if he's an a-hole? What if he's everything that I'm not? She was like, yeah, I'll still hop in that car with him. I'm like, why though? She was like, because his car tells me that he has status. His car tells me that he probably has money, and all of that looks like security. Even if he's an a-hole, there might be some excitement to that. But we would rather deal with a successful a-hole than a broke nice guy. I'm like, wow.
I want to know why a lot of women nowadays are not afraid to be single.
What is it?
After we've evolved over time.
What?
A lot of women are now business owners, hard workers, super independent, mothers.
And this is some bullshit.
Women aren't as afraid of being alone and having to rely on a man to provide for her.
You're right.
How?
Because majority of y'all strong, independent single mothers have children by Pookies and Ray Rays. But you single women should be happy because you all are getting what you asked for.
But he's right.
Y'all wanted to be able to pay bills.
Got a point.
Y'all wanted to be able to have babies by multiple guys.
You ain't lying.
Y'all are getting all the attention that y'all want on social media.
That's true. Yeah.
You're making your own money.
You're right again.
And the most important thing that y'all wanted is to be alone.
Think about that.
Well, what do you have to provide for me? If I can do everything for myself, what do I really need you for?
Buy a dog, die alone. You ain't got to deal with nobody.
We are not providing and protecting because you say you can do it all on your own. Whenever you are getting attacked or screaming for help, all of the men gonna look at each other and be like,
do you think we should help?
No, she has that strong independent ID card.
Yo, dead ass, man, dead ass. There was these two women yesterday in my apartments. They was loading up their car, and one of them was fine too. She was slick. She was eyeing me too. They were loading up their car to go on a trip. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, should I go over there and offer my assistance and help them with the luggage? I was like, nah, it's two of them. They'll be all right. I can see if it was that one baddie by herself, I would have went over there, but nah, it was two of them. I was like, they got this. They strong, independent black women. They don't need a man's help.
Whenever it gets to that point, don't be surprised.
So now women are making these men really show and prove themselves first before they just get that ring on the finger.
Nobody's jumping to marry your ass.
Let me just say something really fast, man.
I'm gonna hurt somebody.
Men are only improving themselves in life to make the best version of themselves. And you don't decide who puts a ring on your finger.
You don't get it yet, do you?
The man decides who he wants to marry.
Message.
Y'all, this video was too golden. I had to throw it in there. Shout out to Old Look Is One on TikTok. Y'all know what time it is. Leave your thoughts, comments, and opinions down below. And I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. See ya.